Hello everyone, good morning. So today I will explain a poem by Julia de Burgos. I was my own route. आज चाहिँ म यो पोएम I was my own route लाई डिस्कस गर्छु। जसले यो पोएमलाई क्लासमा चाहिँ बुझेको छैन वा क्लास लिन पाएन यो पोएमको तिनीहरूलाई यो लेक्चर चाहिँ एकदमै हेल्पफुल हुनेछ। सो यो पोएम लाई डिस्कस गर्नुभन्दा पहिला यो पोएमलाई चाहिँ हामीले फेमिनिस्ट पर्सपेक्टिभले वा फेमिनिस्ट लेन्सले चाहिँ हेर्नेछौँ वा म चाहिँ यसलाई फेमिनिस्ट लेन्सले एनालाइज गर्छु र यो पोएमका थिम्सहरू यो सबै पोएम्सका लाइन एक्सप्लेन गर्दै म एक्सप्लेन गर्नेछु र त्यसरी चाहिँ तपाईँहरूलाई यो पोएम बुझ्न सजिलो हुनेछ। So let's start. Okay. So the writer or the poet is Julia de Burgos, and Julia de Burgos लिखेको यो poem I was my own route. Title itself, from the title itself, it's very clear that the poem wants to confirm an individual's liberty, freedom, choice of our own wishes यो कुराहरू चाहिँ यो पोएमले सो गर्छ भन्ने कुरा यहाँ टाइटलबाटै माई ओन रुट यानी कि द स्पिकर wants to confirm that she has to live or she lives or she wants to live by her own choices, by her own will, by her own desires, by her own free thoughts, not by someone else. And she is the being of the present, not past, neither future. She does not want to be controlled by the patriarchy, gender stereotype, traditional roles, okay, all oppressed, all suppressed, and all uh, so assigned to women, right? So यो पोइन्ट पढ्दाखेरि चाहिँ त्यो पर्सपेक्टिभले बुझ्दाखेरि बढी हेल्पफुल हुन्छ। ओके, सो यो पोएम एनालाइज गर्दाखेरि फर्स्ट लाइन चाहिँ रहेको छ आई वान्टेड टु बी लाइक मेन वान्टेड मी टु बी। So your line to meaning, the meaning of this line is the speaker being a woman says that she wanted to be like men wanted her to be। उनी चाहिँ मेन सोसाइटीको चाहिँ पेट्रियार्कीले जस्तो चाहन्थ्यो त्यस्तो हुन चाहन्थिन्, त्यस्तो हुने कोसिस गरिन्। It means that she wanted to confirm the traditional roles assigned to the women or her according to patriarchy। यसको मिनिङ चाहिँ त्यही हो। सी वान्टेड टु बी लाइक मेन वान्टेड हर टु बी। जसरी चाहिँ मेनले उनलाई हेर्न चाहन्थे सोसाइटीमा त्यसरी उनी आफूलाई चाहिँ आइडेन्टिफाई गर्न अथवा आफ्नो रोल सेभ गर्न कोसिस गरेकी थिइन् र त्यो कुरा चाहिँ के सो गर्छ त इट सोज द डोमिनेसन अफ पेट्रियार्की अनि ट्रेडिसनल रोल्स सब्जुगेटेड टु वुमेन एन्ड ट्रेडिसनल रोल्स assigned to women and gender stereotypes यो सबै कुराहरूलाई सो गर्छ द भेरी फर्स्ट लाइन अफ द पोम है। ओके, so that was an attempt at life according to the speaker of this poem। The wish to be like the men wanted to be was an attempt at life। So अब यसको मिनिङ के हो भने स्पिकर बिङ अ वुमन इफ सी वान्टेड अथवा उनको चाहिँ मेल अनुसारको लाइफलाई सेभ गर्नु पर्स्यु गर्नु मेलको विस अनुसार लाइफलाई चाहिँ डिफाइन गर्नु वा लाइफ बाँच्नु भनेको नै एन एटेम्प्ट एट लाइफ। इट वाज नट लाइफ बट एन एटेम्प्ट एट लाइफ। लाइफको मिनिङ चाहिँ सो हियर अब इट सोज आवर नोसन अफ सोसाइटी। हाम्रो सोसाइटीमा चाहिँ के नोसन रहेको छ वाट इज लाइफ। Life is something defined by the men of our society। So if you live that way, you are living a life. If you don't live by the values, standards, codes set by the men, then you don't live a life, right? The speaker says here that was an attempt at life from herself। Okay, now, and further she says, a game of hide and seek with my being. And that was a game of hide and seek, living according to the code, sets, and then notions set by the patriarchy was a game of hide and seek with her being. सो पेट्रियार्कीको नोसन्स अनुसार सोसाइटीमा बाँच्नु भनेको चाहिँ आफ्नो आइडेन्टिटीलाई हाइड गर्नु र अरूले डिफाइन गरेको आइडेन्टिटी सेट कोड्स अनुसार बाँच्नु अनि यो चाहिँ हाइड एन्ड सिक गेम खेल्नु जस्तै हो भनेर सो स्पिकर हियर सेज द्याट वाज अ काइन्ड अफ प्लेइङ हाइड एन्ड सिक गेम where being a woman, one has to hide one's true identity, true agency, true potentiality, and live according to the set patterns, notions, conducts of society that is particularly male dominated. Okay, so you say you're a hide and seek game to stay hope. But I was made of nows. The speaker level she was made of nows. Nows means present. She is someone, a being who is not affected by past and who is not interested to be affected by future. She is a being of present, means she lives at present, so she does not want herself to be controlled, regulated, chained by the past traditional roles. So she says she was made of nows. तर उनी चाहिँ नाउजले बनेका थिइन् प्रेजेन्टले प्रेजेन्ट चाहिँ एराको being भइसकेपछि she wanted liberation, freedom. She wanted to live according to her present wishes, choices, desires. So she says she was made of nows, means she is not going to, or she was never ready to accept the traditional gender stereotypical roles assigned to her. Okay, and my feet level on the promissory earth would not accept walking backwards. So further she says, and her feet level on the promissory earth. उसको चाहिँ खुट्टाहरू they would not accept walking backwards. She is the someone who will always march forward, move forward without being controlled, without being uh, dragged by the old traditional values, norms, derogatory to her prestige, dignity, etc. Okay, so she is someone who would always love life to walk ahead. लाइफमा अगाडि बढ्नु जीवनमा अगाडि बढ्नु भन्ने कुरा यसले सो गर्छ र ब्याकवर्ड्सहरूले चाहिँ ट्रेडिसनल भेल्युज अनुसार नबाँचेर अथवा लाइफ त्यसै नबाँचेर अगाडि फ्युचरिस्टिक वा चाहिँ एउटा प्रोग्रेसिभ लाइफ बाँच्नुलाई सो गर्छ ओके and went forward, mocking the aces to reach the keys of new paths. उनी भन्छन्, the speaker says, she kept moving forward. अगाडि बढ्दै गइन् and that was a kind of mocking to the aces. Aces means traditional, old, outdated values, outdated, traditional, and then conservative values. These are aces भनेको खरानी हुन्छ नि त्यसो त्यो aces भनेको त्यसलाई to reach के को लागि त why she moved forward to reach the keys of new paths means destination of new paths. So new paths, new life, better life, progressive life was waiting for her by forgetting, by leaving all those old, outdated, conservative practices. So being burdened to a women or being so loaded to a women of society. Okay, so she was happy to move ahead. At each advancing state, my on my own route forward. So further she says each step of her was taking a takes her forward and forward because it shows her progressive nature. It shows that she has completely forgotten her past and she has completely so even of her past which takes her forward and forward जसले चाहिँ लाइफ फरवर्ड अगाडि लगिरहेछ लाइफमा प्रोग्रेसिभ बनाइरहेछ जसले उसलाई लिबरेटेड सिभिलाइज बनाइरहेछ भन्ने सो गर्छ प्रत्येक पाइला इच स्टेप So now further, my back was ripped by the desperate flapping wings of the old guard. अब यहाँ एउटा नयाँ टर्म फ्रेज टर्मिनोलोजी आउँछ ओल्ड गार्ड My back was ripped by the desperate tapping wings of the old girl. Means when she moved forward, when she wanted to move forward, the old guards of society, yeah, so your traditional patriarchy, old guard refers to patriarchy, traditional values, rules, conservative thoughts, suppressive rules, codes, oppressive rule codes, all which are loaded to a women. So the old guard refers to that patriarchy, that conservative practices, norms, and तिनीहरूलाई चाहिँ एकदमै के भएको थियो त गाह्रो भएको थियो when she moved forward त्यो ओल्ड गार्ड्सहरूलाई उसले चाहिँ प्रोग्रेसिभ भएको होइन तिनीहरूले देख्न सकेनन् and they were quite frustrated looking her progress, looking her liberated thoughts, looking her a kind of modern living, a kind of uh, liberated living. So, but the branch was unpinned forever. She was successful to unpin the branch that was controlling her, that was pulling her behind, backwards. जुन चाहिँ स्टेम हुन्छ रुखको यो मेन पार्ट स्टेममा जुन चाहिँ ब्रान्च लागेको हुन्छ स्टेम इज अ काइन्ड अफ सेट भ्यालुज moralities and then ethics already set by the patriarchy or set by the society which are patriarchy dominated. So when she wanted to live by her own choices, that was an act of unpinning the branch from the main stem. रुखको मेन स्टेमबाट त्यसलाई अनपिनिङ गर्नु वा त्यो ब्रान्चलाई भाँच्नु जस्तै त्यो चाहिँ एउटा द्याट वाज अ काइन्ड अफ revolutionary act of defying the patriarchy of society. So she says here it's a imagery, right? An imagery हो यो. So you imagery means these phrase they create images in our mind when you read them. But the branch was unpinned forever. The branch like the branch that wanted her to draw backwards was broken forever. So breaks that branch which held her backwards. Okay. And at each new whiplash, my look separated more and more from the distant familiar horizons. So at each new whiplash, the more she moved forward, the more she was like beaten down by the society, patriarchy, the more she moved forward, and the more she finds herself far away from that familiar horizons. Familiar horizons means traditional society, conservative practices society. She wants to move forward to move uh, ahead from that, move far away from that familiar horizons, that conservative practices. So when she was moving forward and when she moved forward, that was a kind of gaining a new height for her. That was a kind of gaining new liberation for her. So it shows the women's quest for identity, agency, autonomy from the social suppressive and oppressive practices all uh, burden to her. Okay, and my face, and my face took the expansion that came from within. So this shows the intimate inner liberation that she felt from within herself. Expansion, a kind of happiness, a kind of feeling of victory, glory that came from within herself. So this shows a kind of moment when she felt true liberation, truly liberated from within herself when she decides to leave the patriarchy, when she decides to give up the patriarchy, when she decides to give up the traditional roles, she felt truly liberated from within herself. Okay, that defined expression hinted at a feeling of intimate liberation. That defined expression, the expression that she reacted through after giving up all those traditional roles, so that made her feel intimately liberated. त्यसले चाहिँ intimately liberated भएको फिल गराउँछ उसलाई. So here we knew this. हामीले यो कुरा बुझ्यौँ है. So overall यो पोएममा फेमिनिस्ट पर्सपेक्टिभले एनालाइज गर्दाखेरि this poem talks about a woman or women who want to live by their own choices without being dominated, oppressed, suppressed, controlled by patriarchal values. A feeling that surged, from the balance between my life and the truth of the keys of new paths. त्यो फिलिङ आउँदाखेरि she felt intimately liberated. केले गर्दा त्यो फिलिङ आयो? When she found the balance between her life and her new goals, her new wishes, desires. When you have a balance between these two things, your life and your new set goals, so that feeling of being truly liberated comes from within yourself. त्यो कुरा ब्यालेन्स भएर आउँछ. So already my course now set in the present. So she says, the speaker says, उसको course already present मा set भइसकेको थियो, means she already had decided. So that she is being a present. She is made of nouns. पहिला पनि भनिसकेको छ नि त. She is a being who is made of nouns. So यहाँ present nouns shows that she wants to live by present, modern, liberated values, which do not put her in the traditional role, which do not hold her backwards. यो कुराहरूलाई सो गर्छ. It shows that definition of life or choices modern women make in their life, or the modern women's freedom to make choices in their lives. Okay. Then when a woman or when a modern woman is able to do that, she could feel. So she says, I felt myself a blossom of all the soils of the earth. Blossom of all the soils of the earth. So she says that it was the collective victory for all the women, not only for her or individual being. The feeling of true liberation was a collective victory. Blossom of all the soils of the earth signifies the collectivity, the collective women's victory over the traditional gender roles. Blossom means a kind of achievement, a kind of liberation. फुल ब्लोसम भनेको फुलले जस्तै चाहिँ लिबरेट भएको, फ्री भएको एउटा एक्सपिरियन्स थियो सबै वुमेनहरूलाई. Okay, of the soils without history, of the soils without history, of the soils without future. The soil जसको history छैन, जसको future छैन means. So when a modern woman lives by herself according to the present modern values, she is not controlled by the past. Without history means she is not controlled by past traditional old values. Neither she wants to be controlled in future by some traditional values again. So it shows that modern women, they just want to live by themselves. They want the decisions of their life under their control according to their choices. They don't want to be controlled by the traditional values, which is signified by without history. Soils means something fundamental. Soils represent the fundamentals of our living society here. The women, they are fundamentals of our society, one of the important part of society existence, survival, humanity, human beings. But the true liberated woman is a woman who is not controlled by past, neither who wants to be controlled by the values, patriarchal values in her future. Right? Further, she says, of the soil, always soil, without ages. So she wants to be a modern woman, wants to be a soil without ages. No ages, no rules, no morality, no ethics, no practices, no code of conduct should determine her life, should determine her choices, should save her life. So, a truly liberated modern woman is a woman who is like a soil without edges, Ranika. Completely living on her own, completely independent of any barriers, conduct, sets, practices त्यो किसिमको माटो हो as you can see here on picture यो माटो सबै एजेस नभएको कुनै किनारामा चाहिँ यसको कसैसँग टच भएको छैन नि त त्यस्तो माटो जस्तै हो मोडर्न भन्न यहाँ of all the men and all the epochs सबै मेनको हिस्ट्रीमा सबै इतिहासमा चाहिँ women wants to be that or women should live like that throughout the history entire history of humanity a woman should live like that भन्न खोजेको यो and I was all in me again same thing is being repeated and I was all in me so here redundancy of idea is there through using different phrases and words and I was all in me as was life in me since there was life in me I was all in me since I contained the life, I was all in me. I was not obliged to live under anyone's authority, anyone's kind of rule, codes, conducts. I was all in me means I was all competent myself. I didn't need anyone's guide, says, instructions to live life. Again, this signifies the wish, the will for liberation, for freedom from societal restrictions. Okay, life in me. So there was a life in me. I was a life in me. म चाहिँ आफैमा एउटा लाइफ थिएँ काइन्ड अफ इन्डिपेन्डेन्ट लिबरेटेड लाइफ I was not dependent being to somebody. My identity was not or must not be defined in relation to somebody else's identity. I am all in me, so I can define myself. My identity should be defined according to me. My identity remains to me according to my choice, according to my explanation, according to my interpretation life my life is in me so I have the full authority even I am a woman she says I have a full authority to define my life myself okay life in me means that when the heralds announced me the regal parade of the old guard the desire to follow men walked in me but when these kind of notions came to her, she was time and often afraid by the society, by those dominant authorities. यहाँ चाहिँ regal parade of old guard means dominant patriarchal authorities भनेको है parade like the parade of army, march of army moving that threatens her. Whenever she was threatened, she wanted to live like men wanted her to live. So she says the desire to follow men walked in me. Walked means twisted, bent, and it shows that she was time and often scared, threatened, afraid by that dominant patriarchy. So time and often she often wanted to live, to be like to be an entity, a being like a man of society wanted her to be. That was the biggest uh, threat to her life. That was the biggest threat to live by her own choices. Okay, so when she was afraid, scared by that dominant authority, patriarchy, the desire to follow men walked in me, as we have already discussed this thing often, scared her. So again, time and often, like she was made to remember, oh, she is a woman and she should live by the men's rule. So men has created certain rule in society, and if she doesn't follow that, then she will be a kind of she will be suppressed, oppressed, and she will be boycotted. She will be made inhuman. She will be made a social person. So to live in a society like a person or a being, like a human, the patriarchy keeps on reminding the women that they should live by the rules set by them. Okay, and the woman was left waiting for me, and she says that whenever I started living according to the set patterns of patriarchy, set codes of patriarchy, there was a respect for me. Mamias means respect. There was a respect for me, waiting for me. There was a respect waiting for me whenever I wanted to live like a man wanted me to live. There was a respect for me. So she says this is the problem with the society. Society always wants the women to live by the codes set by patriarchy. If they do so, they get respected. If they don't, they aren't. So overall, this poem has these three things in nutshell. If we analyze this poem from feminist perspective, we find internal conflict and the struggle for self-definition. What does self-definition mean to a woman? So how women they suffer from internal conflicts and struggle to define themselves. Then rejection of patriarchal roles, how women or how the speaker in this poem rejects patriarchal roles, and then agency and autonomy. So the speaker speaks for the agency and autonomy. She wants to assert her own agency and autonomy uh, on the face of patriarchy. So these three things they generally are surfaced and resurfaced throughout the poem. So if you have to understand the poem, you have to understand these key ideas, then you can understand the poem. Okay. So thank you for this